Welcome back to the show. Well, millions of Canadians watched Canada's heartbreaking loss in the Women's World Cup quarterfinal, but hosting the international event has definitely gotten people, Canadians, excited about soccer.
Including myself.
Well, joining us now is Vancouver Whitecaps FC President and soccer expert Bob Lenarduzzi to break down the tournament for us and maybe make a prediction for that final on Sunday.
No problem. Happy to do that.
Thank you so much for being here. Now,
Pleasure.
of course, Canada didn't make it through to the finals, but in your opinion, how do they do overall?
Well, I think if you asked people about the way they played, most people would suggest perhaps they could have been a bit better, but to actually get to the final 8 prior to the tournament, I think most people would have accepted that. So it was an unusual sort of tournament in that they didn't play particularly well. I actually thought their best game was against England, and unfortunately they had the two letdowns early on in the game that they couldn't recover from, but I actually thought they played quite well.
Right.
And let's talk about Christine Sinclair, of course. A lot of pressure on her. Do you think she performed the way she should have? Or?
Yeah, she was the big star in London, of course, in 2012, and did a lot of expectations on her. How did she do?
Well, most people will associate her success to goals scored because she's a goal scorer. But there's a lot more that comes with leadership. And I'm convinced that if you ask any one of her teammates how she performed, they would say that she did exactly what we thought she'd do. Would they have liked a few more goals from her? Absolutely. But goals at this level are harder to come by. And she scored a big one against England to get them back in the game. And I actually thought, again, against England, she played her best game. And it's probably more than a coincidence that with her playing her best game, the team played their best game as well. So they have nothing to be ashamed about. They did very well. They've generated a huge profile for the sport in this country that already existed. But when you see the amount of people that have turned out for the games, it's obviously been a success even prior to Sunday's final.
Yeah, I think we've all noticed that soccer is everywhere right now, and it was so great to see everyone here locally and across Canada showing up for games, wearing their red and white. Did you sort of notice that enthusiasm build?
Absolutely, and in fact, I noticed it from the Canadians, but I went to the USA-Nigeria game in the group stage, and I walked from our Gastown offices over to BC Place and could not believe the amount of Americans that were making their way to the stadium, but not just making their way to the stadium, very enthusiastically making their way to the stadium. They are definitely behind their team. And I know that we have a rivalry with the Americans, but I think we should be pleased that they're actually in the final, because I think the build-up to the actual game on Sunday and the atmosphere at the game on Sunday will be fantastic.
Yeah, it felt like it was the Olympics all over again.
Yes.
Of course, you have the whole broadcast center across the road from us here. Just so much excitement all across the city. A lot of excitement, but also a lot of pressure for these players. And, you're hearing things about people being blamed. Of course, there was the huge upset with England on the weekend. A lot of people are blaming individual players like Sesselman as well. How do you get back from that? How do you bounce back and deal with that kind of thing?
Well, the thing you should be pleased about, if the game and individuals are being critiqued that much, is that you've arrived. And so it comes with the sport. It comes with each level that you step up. Is more exposure brings more experts. And I mean, Sesselman did get criticized throughout the tournament. The goal the first goal against England, she slipped. Anybody can slip. It wasn't like she made a huge error. So you're speaking to someone that's been in the sport for 45-odd years.
And you've been at a World Cup, so you know the pressure.
And you just understand that if you're going to be in the sport, then you need to accept that with the accolades comes the criticism as well when things don't go well. And you need to be even-keeled and not get too high when things go well and not get too down when they don't go well.
They say if you have haters, you've made it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of accolades, let's talk quickly about Kenisha Buchanan. So she's the next generation of soccer. She did amazing. She's still in her teens.
Yes.
Do you think this is a good sign for Canadian women's soccer that players like her are doing so well already?
No question. The changing of the guard will be taking place at some point, although Christine has come out public and said she'll be playing in the next World Cup, and I think that's great. You play for as long as you want to. As long as you're capable as well. But what you'll need is those young players coming through to to take the place of the established players. And Kenisha is one of those players that obviously performed very, very well at this World Cup and previous to as well. So we need more of them. And we need more of them because what's happening is that the gap is starting to close between the countries that were the established countries in the women's game and the ones that weren't. You see Nigeria, Cameroon coming here and performing very well. That would have never happened as recently as 4 years ago.
It's going to push everyone.
Yeah.
Quickly, while we have you, can you make that prediction? We've got the USA and Japan in the final on Sunday. What do you think?
It'll be the USA, without a doubt.
Just looking so strong.
Having said all of that,
Yes.
the Japanese have won every game that they've played. They've won them sometimes in the very late stages, so they have that winning mentality, and that in a game like this, you need that as well. But it'll be a repeat of the final from 4 years ago, and I think that as what I'd like to see is a very exciting and entertaining game. And do I really care which country wins? Probably not, but if I'm being somewhat patriotic because we play in a North American league, I'm probably rooting for the Americans.
Makes sense. Now, of course, we have to talk about the Whitecaps. We have you here. They've been temporarily evicted from their place where they normally played. Yeah. How have they been doing? They've been doing quite well on the road. What's it like for them?
It's a long time away, and when we looked at the schedule at the start of the season, we knew that this 5-game break was going to be pivotal as to how well we did this season. We went into the break in decent form, but we've actually kicked it up a notch since we've been away. We lost the first game in Montreal, and we've won 3 games since, and we have a game in Colorado on Saturday. So we've actually done better than what I think we were expecting, and the game on Saturday in Colorado will be one, if we can win, it'll really reinforce that it's been an unbelievable road trip. So fantastic.
Right.
We've got the Women's World Cup here, city's abuzz, country's abuzz. We go away and we win most of the games we play. You can't get better than that.
It's a win-win.
Yes,
for sure,
absolutely.
Yeah.